Hey guys, Rev from Into Gaming. Do a quick video on an update that I've made to my loot spawning system. It's based on a post in the PUBG forums about randomization. The base idea behind it is that, say for on PUBG's Erangel map, there's just certain ARs that will spawn. You won't get the QBZ or it's the other one, the G36 from Vikendi. Um, you won't see the MP5K or in some of the other various weapons that are in the game, but just exclusive to other maps. So what the idea is to bring all the weapons together and actually have different loot table setups to where you could hop into Erangel and get one set of weapons, one round, and the next it would be totally different or mixed and so forth. So, say for an example, one round you'll have the M416 in it, the next round you won't, but there will be like the QBZ and potentially the QBU will be in there as well. Or maybe the G36 and the SCAR won't be there and so forth. So that's the generalized idea. So I went ahead and coded that into my system, which was surprisingly easy to do based on the way that I coded my system, just to keep it simple and fast, really optimized. So the way that I've done that is loot tables. First, we had to start with loot tables because they govern everything. So you could have your game world set up to be able to spawn QBZs, QBUs, whatever. But if the loot table doesn't have it in its list, and or the value for, say, for example, say I wanted to spawn a Bison PP19 on Erangel, if the loot table was set like this, I couldn't spawn it because there isn't an availability. And that's generally what a loot table is. It's just an availability list. It's like a warehouse list. How many do I have in stock? If I don't have any stock, I can't spawn it. So, in a basic layman's overview, is the spawner is configured to have whatever the designer wants to be able to spawn at that particular pile. And when somebody triggers the radius here, these beautiful radiuses, it triggers that particular spawner, and that's executed on the server through the game mode. It goes through the list of things that are configured in that spawner and says, hey, is it in the loot table? If so, is there availability for me to spawn it? If yes, add it to a list. If no, don't add it to the list. And then at the end of that process, the server picks a certain amount of things from the available list that it just generated and spawns them. And then it updates the loot table for each one of those things that it spawned. So that's the basis of it. So with mine, I set up 3 loot tables. They kind of mirror each other, but not really. I mean, they have all the items in there, so it can be a little confusing. Technically, I wouldn't have all of these in here. This is just a copy and paste kind of setup, just to get it working. But for example, with loot table 0, we can spawn any of the weapons. The full inventory list is going to be available to spawn. For the weapon side of things, for loot table 1, we're only going to be able to spawn Berettas and 4A1s, AK-47s, and the Galil, and then all the rest of the different things. With loot table 2, which is the third one, we're only able to spawn the Bison, G36C, AK-74U, and then all the other little crazy things. Now, you'll notice down here, if the weapons up here dictate what type of ammo is going to be available. So I don't have anything that's using 45 ACP or 12 gauge, so those are zeroed out. So they'll never spawn, so you're not wasting, resources, spawn resources on something that can't be used. So that's the loot tables. Getting to the actual spawners, I have one of the 3 setups right here. So we have weapons list 0 that corresponds with loot table 0, weapons list 1, loot table 1, weapons list 2, loot table 2. So when the game starts, this game mode is actually going to pick the loot table, and based on which loot table is used or chosen, it's going to correspond to what weapons list is chosen. So if it says loot table 0, which it's going to print on the left hand side of the screen in red, so loot table 0, we're going to get weapons list 0 options. Either it'll spawn Berettas, Colts, Mossbergs, or all three of these, but nothing else. And you can see with weapons list 0, it has the full range of weapons. For weapons list 1, it only has these weapons that it can spawn, and then for weapons list 2, it only has these weapons that can spawn. This is the way that this works on my end, is designed around giving the level designer customization ability of what spawns where, or what can spawn where. But the rest of the basics here, they're empty for practice purposes and testing. So let's just hop in here, and all three of these, by the way, are configured the same way. Beretta, Colt, Mossberg. Mouse, I hit the edit on that, and let's see, same thing over here. Beretta, Colt, Mossberg, M4, AK-47, Galil, Bison, G36, AK-74U. So let's go ahead and hop in here and give this a run through. I'm turning on collision in the editor to visualize these collision radiuses and so forth. So I actually didn't see which loot table popped. It's going to be in red on the left, loot table 2. So this is going to be all the minis, the Bison, the AK-74U. Same thing here. Bison, AK-74 here, and the G36 is in that list. So it's just a matter, and each one is set up to spawn up to 3 items. And let's do it again. Table 1, and loot table 1, and that's the one that's got the M4A1. AK-47 and the Galil. So M4, AK-47, AK-47s, and Galil. You'll also notice that it's spawning the appropriate ammo with it, up 1 to 3 packs per weapon. And you got the light green is 5.56, dark green 7.62. Kind of follow PUBG's kind of setup. Let's go ahead and hit this again. What do we have? Loot table 2. And you can see it's pretty fast. So it's just basically whenever I hit that trigger, boom, it's there. And because I'm playing in the editor, which is basically meaning that I am the server and the client at the same time, I instantly get this data replicated. So I don't have to worry about latency and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing else to replicate to me, so it's got priority. Now just one little quick thing, because this is going to confuse people. I'm going to drag in a spawner here to show you. That's how you would add them to the map. Is just drag them in, and then just wherever you want them, and just position them. Click on the extent. This little guy here in the center. This is the area in which things will actually be able to spawn into. So that's just going to be randomized. And, I'll show you that here in just a sec. Get back to the main loot thing. Max number of items for this, it's 1 to 3. I'm going to choose 3. We're not using the no spawn. We're going to random rotate. which means that weapons will randomly move around on one axis for just look like they were thrown. And we're going to add Mossberg, Colt, actually just Mossberg and Colt. And this one I'm going to do AK-47 and Leo. This one I'm going to do Bison G36, attachments. Let me throw one in there, two, smoke, and meds. So basically what's going on with the spawners, I'm telling the server that this spawner, depending on its weapons list, takes all these different weapons and puts them in a list. So if it's loot tables 0, it's going to put Mossberg and Colt 45 in a new list. And then it's going to go down to the rest of the gear settings and say, okay, we'll add extended mag, suppressor, and red dot to that list, add the frag and the smoke grenade to that list, and add health kit and boosters. The same would apply if it's weaponless 1 or weaponless 2. We just have different weapons in that new list. Then the server goes through and picks randomly from that list. It says, okay, I got three grabs at this list. Pick something, spawn it, update the loot table. Pick the next thing, spawn it, update the loot table, and so forth. This config that I have in my system allows the level designer, full control over what can spawn at certain piles and buildings. And as you can see, they're array based, so I could go through here and add as many as I want. Doing it like this right here, I just pretty much almost guaranteed that a Beretta is going to spawn here. So I'm going to delete all these guys out of here and get it back down to a 2 list. So same applies to the other lists. They're all array based, so I can add as many slots to each one of these arrays and configure it. I can weight the different arrays, so if I want a higher chance of something spawning at that position, I just weight that particular list. So for the attachments list down there, if I wanted a higher rate chance of an extended mag to spawn, I just add a few more extended mags to that list, and that gives me the weight that I need to actually increase its probability. But here you go. We're going to test this one out real quick just to show it. We got loot table 1. We got health kit, smoke grenade, AK-47, and 1 pack of 7.62 for the weapon. I'm going to do it again. Turn on this collision so you can see it. Loot table 0. We got a pistol suppressor, a frag grenade, and 2 packs of 45. Play again. Loot table 0 again. So it's a pistol, frag, and plenty of ammo. And let's do one more for giggles. Loot table 1. We got 2 Galils, 2 packs of ammo, and a booster. So that's the base principle on loot spawners, loot tables, and adding the new randomization aspect to it. I can add as many loot tables as I want to give it a different, a lot more different flexibility. So it's pretty straightforward, at least on my end. If it's possible on PUBG's end to be that easy to do, that's a totally different story. So hopefully they could do something like that. I'd love to see something like this in the future. And, anyway, any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll see if I can't get them straight for you. Have a good one.